In today's video, I'll be sharing my top bucket list coasters for 2024. Hello coaster lovers. So last year, I made a video of my top 10 bucket list coasters, and it has changed a bit since then. Some coasters on that list were shifted around a little, and a few coasters got bumped off entirely. So I want to share with you all on how my list has changed. So before we hop in, we have two honorable mentions. This is places number 12 and 11. The first honorable mention is going to DC Rivals. There are two reasons why this is an honorable mention. One, it looks phenomenal. Two, it's the little thing inside me that wants me to get that far, literally on the other side of the world. And I really want to try it out on what it's like to get to Australia. It does take 18 hours if you're flying out of LA, so that must be fun. But anyway, the next coaster we got is Hyperion. This coaster looks world class, but we are not done with Energylandia yet. But anyway, the layout is very reminiscent of Superman the Ride because the first half is with giant sprawling airtime hills, then the second half is very low to the ground and uses that speed to its advantage. The closest coaster I got to compare Hyperion to is I guess Millennium Force. It's a very tall coaster built by Intamin. And speaking of Intamin, that will lead us into the first entry on the list at number 10 with Tattis at Parc Asterix. This coaster is easily the best coaster in France, and it's also one of the best coasters in Europe and the world. It looks very similar to Pantheon because of the layout, the trains, the launches, and the spike. It's basically a French Pantheon if you ever rode that ride at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And here's a funny suggestion. If you're out to France to check this thing out and you're a YouTuber, try your best to describe this coaster without mentioning Pantheon. As for the closest coaster I got to compare this to, it's Maverick. But for the next coaster, it's pretty much on every American Enthusiast top bucket list coasters list, and mine as well. It is with Zadra at Energylandia. This kind of looks like a mashup of Iron Gwazi and Steel Vengeance, which are the two of my favorite coasters. The layout is very Steel Vengeance-esque because it winds around its structure, but the elements it has are very Iron Gwazi-like, which are quick and snappy. This thing looks incredible, and I'm itching to ride this. And for the rest of these rides, for number 8, I had this on last year's list. It is with El Toro. This thing looks freaking relentless. If you watched the New England video of my little series that I created not that long ago, you know that El Toro was placed as the best coaster in all of New Jersey, and most of that applies onto here. So to not sound redundant, I'll basically describe the ride in 3 words: intimidating, insane, and a little rough. If I'm ever in New Jersey, I'll try my best to try out this coaster. A coaster that isn't far from me, aka a measly 7 hours away with no traffic. It has a top tier coaster with Airy Force 1. It still stuns me to this day that this coaster is located at a literal fun spot park, and it's not that big either, and nobody has heard of it before this coaster got announced. And it has a layout that is shaped like a Z, and it has incredible elements. The stall looks really floaty, and the arcade roll looks snappy, and the finale is the chili dip and quad down. You also got the outer bank for variety. It also has a great American color scheme to contrast the layout. But to sum it up, amazing airtime with a feisty layout. Another ride that has amazing airtime and a feisty layout is Vultron at Europa Park. This is the only new for 2024 coaster that has made this list. I have a good confession to make as well. I have not seen the dark ride portion yet, so I don't want to see any comments spoiling it. I only saw a tiny snippet because I was looking for a Vultron POV, and I just completely closed my computer when I saw that little snippet. But for the coaster itself, the ride looks fantastic. It reminds me of a souped up version of Mystery Mine if you ever rode that ride at Dollywood, and any of the mock Big Dippers like Lost Gravity or Dynamite over in Germany, because it has the launch, the layout, the airtime pops, and the inversions. The reason why it's on here is because I was in awe when I first saw the animated POV. It looks so good, but I was even more struck when I saw the new area. It looks so freaking incredible and detailed. This coaster easily deserved the Best Coaster for 2024 award and Talk of the Year, but a ride that I was even in more awe of is Fury 325 at Carowinds. This is the B&M. It pops in the Carowinds Skyline with the striking teal and lime green track, and the coaster is just beautiful. And just like Airy Force 1, this is also featured on the South video of my new series. So if you want more of my humble thoughts of that coaster, go ahead and check that video out. So I'm going to make this part of the video short. So to sum it up, a top tier coaster with great airtime and amazing pacing. At number 4, we have a coaster that looks just insane and gorgeous, and it's with Gotham City Escape. And by the way, I'm not calling it Batman Gotham City Escape. It's such a mouthful, but for the coaster, it just looks incredible. It's not really the same as Velocicoaster, but it looks so dang good. The layout is super diverse with its elements, including the inversions, airtime pops, and you can't talk about Gotham City Escape without mentioning the -2G's airtime hill. It reminds me of a speed hill, but the apex is a lot sharper. You also have an incredibly themed beginning, and you do see theming throughout the ride, which is just unheard of for an extreme coaster. But that's not the only ride on this list that has incredible theming throughout its layout. I also love the use of onboard audio, and the coaster overall just looks ethereal. At number 3, the experience on this coaster is also ethereal, and it's with Edge and Ica. If you ever rode X2 and thought that experience was insane, just wait. This coaster improves every single flaw that X2 has. this. Just to name one, the seat rotations on the X2 are very janky, but on Edge and Ica, it's smooth as glass. But as for the coaster itself, it's so demented. The star of the show is the zero G roll that the seats rotate to, and it provides forces that you're not used to, and that's why it's so disorienting. And by the way, Danaconda is not on this list either, but in theory, this could be an Edge and Ica / Danaconda spot. But this is my top bucket list coaster in Asia, but the award of my top bucket list coaster in Europe goes to Ride of Happiness at Plazaland. This was a tough choice for my top bucket list coaster. There were so many contenders, but one stood out from all the rest, and this coaster is it. This is one of Mach Ride's extreme spinning coasters, and this one is the best for right now. It seems like a normal layout with inversions, but you are spinning and it's pure insanity. And just like the other Pride coasters, the thing is just beautiful and the theming is top notch, and the placement is also stunning, but it's not my number one bucket list coaster. And the number one spot may not come as much of a surprise to certain people, but my top bucket list coaster for 2024 is Velocicoaster. This thing has everything I want in a roller coaster. Launches, a diverse layout, one standout moment, and as a bonus, good theming is appreciated. And one of the reasons why this is so high on my bucket list is because there is a very high chance that I might get to experience this coaster this year, which I can't describe how excited I am. But if I don't ride it in this year, it's definitely next year, 100%. But the coaster itself just looks phenomenal. I love how it uses its rockwork to its advantage, and it's extremely rare to see an extreme coaster that features over-the-top theming, but this coaster is one of them, and it has fantastic spots to get footage. Expect me to use some Velocicoaster footage after my visit. I don't think this is going to be better than Iron Gwazi, but I'm equally as excited as I was before riding Iron Gwazi. So I want to hear from you guys. What is your list of your top bucket list coasters? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel too. There will be a new video coming out in the next 5 days. So make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and I hope y'all are safe from Hurricane Milton.